Good morning, everyone. It's Mike Bianco here, Director of the Bunbury Regional Art Gallery. Very excited to be here this morning with curator Carlo Ansaldo, who is visiting us from the Northern Territory. Carlo has curated this current exhibition, which is on at Bragg, called Groundswell. Good morning, thank you for being here.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
Carlo, could you tell us a bit about the exhibition, even maybe where the title came from and some of the themes that you're exploring through the show?
Yeah, so Groundswell, the subtitle is Recent Movements in Art and Territory, is actually a group show of 19 Northern Territory artists from all around the Territory who are coming together to explore the water issues that we experience in the Northern Territory. And the exhibition's gone on tour. Bragg is the last stop, and it's a really important stop too, because I think there's so many of the issues that are explored in this exhibition are just so relevant to audiences here. And even just looking through some of the collection and some of the previous exhibitions you've shown me, I think there's just so much crossover in the artistic concerns of these artists with local artists here in Bunbury.
And how have you structured the exhibition? It's in 4 sections, is that right?
Yeah. So what was really important for me in this group exhibition is not to really theme the exhibition around an aesthetic concern or a sort of more lofty art historical concern. I wanted to really structure these artworks around 4 core issues affecting water in the Northern Territory. So those themes are access to water, the contamination of water, which is about water quality, water culture, so the fact that water is a living entity in itself that we all have obligations to keep for the next generation, and then scarcity of water, which is literally like the quantity of water available.
Great. Well, let's take a tour through the gallery and look at some of the work. One of the themes in your exhibition is culture, and I'm really interested in what I thought were abstract watercolors, which I'm realizing now are quite realist watercolors. Could you talk a bit about how these watercolors relate to the theme of culture?
Yeah, so this is a series of 3 watercolors by Darwin artist Sarah Perry. What I love about these works is that within the theme of culture, we have quite a few First Nations artists from around the NT represented whose cultural background requires them to be custodians of water and protect it and keep it like it's part of their family and life cycle. And I think there's a lot that we can all learn from that approach. Sarah is not a First Nations artist, and I think that what's really interesting about putting her in the theme of culture is this concern that she has with consumer culture and very explicitly drinking culture in the NT. I don't think it's a secret that in the NT we sink more beers than anywhere else in the country. And I really love in this series how she has kind of taken that quality of an aluminum can and integrated it with aeons of rock that this for me particularly channels in Darwin the foreshore of where we live, like the Nightcliff foreshore, and it's been integrated to be one kind of naturally occurring yet man-made kind of specimen almost. And I think it's clever, it's funny, it's deep, and it's a really interesting take on water issues and water culture.
And I think too, one of the things that I really enjoy about this work is that specimen quality, I think, speaks to this kind of geologic period that they're calling the Anthropocene.
Yeah.
You can actually see human impact in the geologic record. You know, I think that kind of quality is really exciting about these watercolors.
Yeah, they're gorgeous, and yeah, I think that there's a lot to see in them too. So I really encourage people to really come close and yeah, have a look.
Amazing. Carl, tell me about this big fish.
Yeah, I really wanted to show you this because it has definitely been a bit of an audience favourite on the tour. So this is Macy Lilara's work. So it's a monster fish called Yilqua, and it's made entirely out of ghost nets that the rangers at Anadiliaqua, which is Groot Island, have scavenged from the shores. And it's also covered, as you can see, with a whole lot of debris, bottle caps, lighters, that are also found on the beach. And the artist has basically sort of scavenged all this, weaved it into this epic fish. And I love how Macy's created a kind of mythology for this new type of monster that now exists because of the contamination that's occurred in the oceans around her homeland.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's almost like the contemporary form of a gargoyle. You know, it is this kind of thing that warns us of this really scary future. I have to say though, it's quite a sweet and kind of beautiful object.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it also, so Macy's done versions of this work too where this is like the big mum and there's kids as well, and that sort of adds to the sweetness of it in terms of, yeah, it's kind of a monstrosity, but it's also now part of the ecosystem, and like what you were saying before about the Anthropocene, those kind of complexities about around what we've created. But yeah, I just love how this is, I love the weaving, there's bush dye in the binding. I love that it's a collaborative work with the rangers, and I think that just, you know, there's so much time and effort, and I think aesthetically it just resonates with people, and it's just one of the works that's just has the best audience reaction, I think. So yeah, I just wanted to show you it.
So Carla, can you tell me a bit about this work and how it ties into one of the themes of the exhibition?
Yeah, so this work is by Mel Robson. It's called Ingress, Egress, Regress, and it's a ceramic collection of bones that Mel has found throughout Central Australia, and mainly in her home of Mapantwe, which is Alice Springs. What I really loved about this work isn't just the technical proficiency of it. Mel is a lecturer at Charles Darwin University in ceramics in Alice Springs, but also just how she's approached the topic of water scarcity through looking at the pastoral industry, which has fundamentally changed the landscape and access to water in Central Australia. So of particular note here, you'll see that some of these bones, which are all bones from cattle and livestock, have been etched into, and also some of these bones also have like transfers of cartographic maps of pastoral landscapes. And then also it has just the actual titles, like landhold titles for pastoralisation imprinted onto the bones itself. So it's making those connections between the actual physical relics of the land, the legal overlay of that land, and then the cartographic kind of colonial aspect of the landscape. And it's all just been brought together beautifully in these really elegant objects.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I get very excited about with work like this is as much as it has a very important political and historic message, the execution of it is just so refined that it becomes this seductive experience for us as a viewer to really want to get in and spend time with the work. I think it's really successful in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carlo, tell me a bit about this really exciting work, and again, how it relates to the themes in the exhibition.
Yeah, fantastic. So this is a work by Neil Barrington, who is a artist from Katherine and is a community artist. So one of the things that's really important to me when I'm curating exhibitions in terms of getting a diversity of artists represented is to have artists at different stages of their career. And this is actually Neil's first proper exhibition in the Territory, and then so also his first proper exhibition outside the Territory. So I just think it's incredible that you know, you can have these moments where community artists can join together with very established artists like we've seen in Mel, and then have this fantastic like 3-year tour around Australia. So what is really beautiful about these works is that they document different contamination incidences within the NT water supply that the artist has witnessed over the years. So you have Kakadu and the Jabiluka uranium mine. You have the Mount Todd gold mine. You have the PFAS contamination of Katherine from the RAF Tyndall base there. And then you also have the MacArthur River mine that's in Borroloola. So the artist has used these fantastic canvas water bags as the canvas of his art, and then with these pannikins attached to them. And then he's found these fantastic hands in the op shop at Katherine, which represent the hands of the NT government, and with all these fantastic words around them. Neil is also an artist with dyslexia, so there's a lot of really fantastic kind of text that is, you know, just sort of unmitigated straight from his head. That's sort of, I think, really charging the work with a real sense of like energy and protest that, yeah, I just think it's fantastic.
Well, and I think one of the things that's exciting about a work like this is that, I mean, it's interesting that it's a community artist. It's, for me, very, very refined, despite the fact that it's his first showing in either NT or touring, but that you have that direct voice from community about these concerns coming into art. And I think in terms of speaking about the power of art to speak to communities, to present their concerns, I think it's a great example of how active members in the community can do that kind of work. So one of the themes in the exhibition is access. And I know you've talked a bit about the exhibition as an activist exhibition. Could you tell me a little bit more about the show and this video work?
Yeah, so basically the artist here is Larrakia elder June Mills. Larrakia is the nation that covers the Darwin and Palmerston region. So June is a very strong anti-fracking activist who has quite a history of interventions in the Northern Territory. And I think what this was, she's also an artist, and she wanted to bring those two interests together to create a work that could go viral and that people could feel positive about change through. And so she does mention it in the first video that she's growling people all the time, which is like Territory slang for, you know, getting angry about, getting riled up about issues. And she wanted to do something that was sort of a bit more celebratory, I suppose, about our capacity to change things. And so that's where Brace Yourself came from. It's her techno song that has a strong anti-fracking message. June's also a musician. She's part of the Mills Sisters, who is a very established Larrakia music act in the Territory. And anyway, but yeah, techno's a new thing for her. I love the ambitiousness of it. I love the... I just think it's fantastic. It's probably my favourite work, and the reason why I am we're talking about it now is because it also was a work that had some asks on the audience. So June, through this video, wanted audience members to come to Mindle Beach, and we actually performed the dance that she's showing everyone here, and then sort of like just sent it out to the internet as a really strong anti-fracking message. So I really love that the exhibition, you know, created these new moments for people to take action that was spurred on by the artists, and yeah, I think it was one of the most positive things to come out of the exhibition, I reckon.
Amazing. And one of the things you've done that I'm really excited about with the exhibition is you've actually given audiences information about what they could do. Can you speak a bit about what steps people can make towards, you know, concerns they might have that come out of witnessing this exhibition?
Yeah, I think for me that was really important, because I have seen a lot of exhibitions in the last 5 or so years that do deal with environmental devastation and climate catastrophe. And I really felt like you were kind of being hit with all these realities and then just sort of let out into the world with no kind of ask on you or no actions you can take. So instead of creating an artist catalogue for the exhibition, I did create an activist toolkit. Now, that toolkit has a lot of information that's specific to the NT, but it also, the steps can be taken anywhere. And I guess like there's 4 steps, and the first one, and I think the most important, is to find spaces to come together with local people on like in real life, and in order to discuss your issues and sort of be able to collaborate around that, you know, whatever particular environmental like issue that that's important to that area, because obviously we're connecting the dots between Bunbury and between the NT and between everywhere else that this exhibition's gone. I think there's a lot of commonality, but I think that actually taking the step of creating groups in real life that are local is the first step, and then it's getting that message out there through having those structured conversations that we have in organising, which basically like increase people's feeling of what's actually possible. And I think that that's actually really important now, is like rediscovering the actual capacity of people power.
Carla, one of the things that is so beautiful about this exhibition's design are the didactic panels and this activist toolkit. Could you talk a bit more about the panels and how they fit into the exhibition?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking, because I think for me it's so important that I wanted a touring exhibition for audiences to really come out with a sense of what's going on in the NT, and through all the different themes, it does outline a lot of the current issues we have, and there's even more now because this exhibition's been touring for 3 years. But I love that it gives a sense of the Territory, and what I would also love from audiences is to make sure that you read the didactic panels of each of the artworks, because for a protest exhibition it was really important for me to have the artists express themselves in their own words, in their own language. And I think you get a really beautiful sense from that of each of the artists. Some of them have written a lot, some of them have written very little, but I just think it's so much in each unique voice, and it adds a depth to the exhibition that I feel like I could never have, you know, if I was just interpreting each work through my own, through my own perspective. So yeah, I really encourage people to read it all.
Well, thank you so much for putting this exhibition together. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you all come down to Bragg and seeing the show for yourself. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fantastic. It looks beautiful.